Welcome to Different Gravy, not just another Sheffield Wednesday podcast. I'm one of the hosts, Richard Miller, and my co-host is absolutely desperate to add his own hot take to the already enormous steaming pile. He believes that, contrary to everybody else says, that the Chris Rock Will Smith thing was just an elaborate handshake that got out of hand. Bringer of the hot takes, your friend and mine, Dr. Luke Gledall. How are you doing today, Luke?
I'm good. I'm trying to hold myself back from just reminding myself. Just it did irritate me, and then I guess like everyone else, irritated by having to hear everyone's opinion on the whole thing as well. So other than that, I'm great. How are you, Rich?
Not too bad. It's been a bit of another wacky day, and another wacky. It's a wacky period for the recording of Different Gravy, but
Do you want to kind of have a bit of fun before we get into frivolity, before we get into things? Do you want to play a round of my Wednesdayite?
Oh, okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm locked and loaded and ready to go when you are.
Okay. I'm going to go for, there's an evergreen guest that I'm going to go for here, which is Jones.
Okay, so for Jones, you have a yellow on the N.
Okay. Yellow on the N.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is tricky. Can I? I'm going to go for Brunt.
Green. He's got it. 2 out of 6. Wow.
Oh.
I think that's a Wednesdayite record.
Oh, feels good.
Feels great.
Feels nice.
Mm-hmm.
No time wasting. Just best foot forward. Route one.
The first one was just a touch before he just beamed it into the top corner from 40 yards. Much like Chris Brown.
The aforementioned Brunter. There was a thread asking who scored the better goals, Brunt, Wallace, or Reach. Do you have a feeling there? Do you have a opinion?
It's not quite my era, but I'm going to go Brunt. I'm going to be honest. I
think certainly like what Brunt and Wallace have that Reach didn't have was importance of goals. I think that's a big factor. But I do remember this. Yeah, this would be right in the middle of the infamous Gledall sabbatical. There's somebody who's written a book on the Wednesday glory years, but I'm waiting on for the book on the Gledall sabbatical years, the definitive history of the time when Luke looked away for a bit.
It's not that interesting, everybody.
I remember we were in such a goal drought. We were so thirsty for goals and so poor in front of goal that Brunt just resorted to just trying to beam it straight in from corners because there was nobody had the ability to head it, so he just have a shot from the corner flag. I think he got one as well. I'm pretty sure he got one. Oh, some man, that Chris Brunt. Let's do some news.
Breaking
Breaking who's indeed. We've got a bit of an international roundup. Bailey Peacock-Farrell and Burundi's own Saido Berahino in action for their countries. Neither of them seems to have had particularly auspicious outings. But Bailey Peacock-Farrell played in the 1-0 loss in a friendly to Hungary for Northern Ireland. And Berahino started up front for Burundi versus Bahrain, and they lost to the aforementioned Bahrain. Anything more there, really? It's nice to see them both back. I think
Yeah, it's it was interesting last week for the fact that is it Ian Barraclough who's the Northern Ireland manager
Yes.
did a favour for Darren Moore by letting Peacock Farrell stay at Hillsborough for that game, and obviously then jetted off for that was a home friendly, right? So I believe that's in Belfast. That was done. So it's just strange. It's a little strange.
Well, but Bailey Peacock Farrell went late, and it seems like Saido Berahino came back early. So interesting. Between them, they both played one game each rather than both playing two games. But I suppose they're friendlies. I mean, it's hard to get excited about England friendlies, isn't it? I mean, outside of ITV clapping their hands because they've got some football, does anybody care about international friendlies?
Not really. I enjoyed you kind of marking out ITV clapping their hands like they have a friendly, like they also enjoy shitting in their hands and clapping as well.
More's the better.
Maybe the people working at ITV have a bit more kind of nuance, not to be made out as kind of delinquent idiot children that we're making them out. But I don't know. The output. The output's not particularly fantastic, is it? Let's be honest.
I like envisioning the shite, mottled face of Lee Dixon as he gleefully continues to clap his hands despite the fact he's smeared in feces. Like some sort of rugby team induction gone wrong or gone right. Well, that's how I view those folks at ITV. They deserve.
Well, since you mentioned Lee Dixon, I will join because I really despise Lee Dixon. I'll be honest with you. What a chode.
Watching football and I'm angry about it. Lee Dixon. Do you know I've met Thierry Henry?
I'd hope so, Lee. Yeah, I believe you played in numerous teams together.
There's a couple of just little bits and pieces to sort of pick up. Not a huge amount of earth-shattering stuff, but you were sort of mentioning that there was an interesting comment or two from Keith Tracy on the lauded footballing podcast Under the Cosh.
Yeah, so there was a little bit of a spate because I went and listened to that episode, or most of it, I should say, and I wonder whether we should get into it. I thought it was interesting when people have. Maybe it's a slight interesting kind of nuance of kind of addiction that football players have is when it becomes down to like a sex addiction. But it turns out Keith Tracy's a regular David Duchovny in that department, and also seem to obviously as well seem to have a bit of a booze thing as well. So. It was just really interesting to hear, like, he said, I thought Sheffield United were big, but then I came to Wednesday, and they're a little bit bigger. So he's teed up the comments, and then just a huge anticlimactic letting down of the tyres on that punchline. It's just...
It's like Marmite, you love it or hate it, and I think it's okay.
It's like you've talked about what's the chap from Taskmaster and his
Alex Horn or
Alex
David?
Horn. It's Alex Horn. It's you're better than all the rest. Anyone I've ever met. It is a bit like that. And there was some tales. Yeah, and there's also some tales about like how he was kind of lost in the mire. He seemed to be. But also just kind of equidistant between, like, I've got an addiction, I've got a problem going on, but also, like, no kind of remorse for having that addiction, and then just seemingly giving less of a crap about football.
Okay.
And it was interesting, I didn't get into it long enough to the episode. I listened to the bumper end because I heard when he was talking about Wednesday, which is a bit I want to get to, and I thought, this would probably be quite a fun... that those podcast episodes are pretty fun in general, right? So I thought I'd go back and listen to the thing, and then I just got distracted. I'll be honest. So and talks about him like David Jones. Dave Jones brought him in to say, he rang him. Jones rang Keith Tracy and was kind of saying like, how are you? You fit? And then Keith Tracy was saying, I'm not really that fit. And then Dave Jones was saying, well, as long as your left foot works, then that's fine.
I'm currently knocking off a very young netball player, so I couldn't give two hoots.
Exactly. That's exactly what he said. And then, he came in to meet Dave Jones, and apparently he was shaking because he'd literally been out drinking the night before and was very candid to kind of tell that it's just a very kind of sad resignation for him, for his tale. So,
yeah.
I don't know, maybe he's someone who's just very, very blunt and very kind of at peace with it. But it just felt a bit sad to kind of hear. I know there's a lot of like cheeky, ooh, we had a few drink tales on Under the Kosh, but I
know what that podcast. Yeah,
it seemed a little sad.
Right, interesting. I'm going to be honest, probably not going to check it out because it sounds like a bummer. But I do look forward to the Keith Tracy inspired series. I'm imagining it's going to probably have to be HBO because it's going to be spicy. But the Emerald Green Shirt Diaries instead of the Red Shoe Diaries is going to be it's going to be a treat to behold. Do they ever get into why they don't have an E on Under the Kosh?
No, I don't know. I thought this was something you knew more about. I did not.
They've never got into the vexicology of their own perplexing name.
Maybe they were initially brought to you by Under Armour.
Yeah, Under Armour. Manscaped. Shave your bulls. Shove your bulls with Manscaped.
Oh dear.
Anyway, yes. The other thing that was just nice maybe a little. It's this time of the season when you start to look around and what's going to happen, maybe transfer wise. But it's interesting just to note that Harley Dean is pretty convinced that he doesn't have a future at Birmingham City. I would imagine we will not be the only takers for that gentleman were he to become available in the summer. But tantalising to think that we can maybe dream of the fact it could happen. He's 30 years old, so you'd imagine he's got a couple more good years in him as a centre back. But he's not quick.
Well, I guess with that kind of porn star name, he gets into his kind of MILF career at this age, doesn't he? So.
He's well into his MILF career, isn't it? I think that happens around 23, 24 generally.
I believe so, yes.
Anyway, there we go. That was the news. And I just hope everybody enjoyed it as much as we did. Right. There was a football match, Luke.
There was. A football match did happen, and that is the meat of today's episode, as it is always the meat of the episode.
Big chunk of meat to work on. So we lined up this. It's a fairly settled formation now. I think some elements kind of pick themselves. Obviously, Bailey Peacock-Farrell back in goal. He has had patchy form coming back from international duty, but generally nice to see him there at the back. The twist here was that there was no Jordan Story at all, not in the squad, and Dominic Iorfa took his place. I think I'm always generally pleased to see Iorfa take up a slot on the team sheet, but there's a bit of a shroud of mystery over Story's absence, isn't there? And
there is indeed. It was something we talked about before we went on to start the recording today, before we got going. And in the post-match presser, it's a very kind of weird straight bat. It's a straight bat, but the bat is probably many kind of slightly angled and crooked, which Darren Moore is playing a defensive.
That doesn't sound like a very straight bat.
It doesn't. No, it sounds like you'd be caught out quite easily from a spin ball, perhaps.
Yeah.
But asked at the end of the kind of roundup, which Dom Howson has done in today's Yorkshire Live, and why did Jordan Story miss out today? Moore replies, there is nothing the matter with him. It was personal reasons. Follow-up question, do you expect Jordan to be back for the next game? Moore answers, I'm not sure. He is fine, but he missed today for personal reasons. We will see in terms of the next game. And
I hope it's nothing, personal reasons covers an awful lot of potential bits and pieces, doesn't it? So hopefully it's nothing too distressing or upsetting. But
maybe he's getting a vasectomy, maybe.
Exactly, yeah. He's having a procedure. It's a voluntary up.
It was interesting for me coming into this and making notes, because looking at the lineup and saying, yep, as you've said, it's very much the Wednesday formation. It's what we're going with. I guess there's some interesting things further up the pitch. I was glad that Mendes Lang held his place up with Gregory. I'm glad that Peacock Farrell is back from his jollies, as he did play midweek. And even though he was only in Belfast, and Best Hippo in Show is back on the bench.
Best Hippo. Lovely stuff.
But however,
Luke, it's very important. I rather enjoyed the film. Saw it this week. It's it's a charming coming of age tale set against the backdrop of a pretty horrific period in history. So there's something for everyone.
Do you want to hear about my Irish film that I saw this week?
Was it the old emerald green shirt diary?
It wasn't. It was not. It was Leap Year. I saw Leap Year.
Oh.
A film which apparently irritates a lot of Irish people because...
I know nothing about Leap Year.
So it's basically... The concept is there is one day every 4 years where, because we're such a chauvinistic, sexist society that women can't propose to marriage, but they can on a leap year, we allow such a thing to happen. So it's a thing in Ireland. So Amy Adams goes to get married to her Adam Scott, playing her dickhead fiance, as he often plays dickhead characters very, very well, because he's Adam Scott. He's great. And then she goes there, and then when she's flying in on the plane, there is a storm, so she lands in Cardiff, and then somehow, because I think maybe the storm is still happening, that means that she gets a ferry from Cardiff all the way around to the southwest coast of Ireland.
Of course.
Which I think is kind of in the Galway neck of the woods, I believe.
Okay.
And then it takes her 4 days to get to Dublin. Of which then, obviously she falls in love with the guy who helps get her there, which is played by a English actor who does a very, very bad Irish accent during the thing. So there's a lot of things.
Not too good by any chance? Is that who he is?
Exactly.
The poster there.
Exactly what happens. Anyway, so that is our kind of film references for then. But I have another film reference, Rich. So the interesting thing was looking at story being missing out. I didn't have no context. There was no communication as to why, which is obviously the nature of what goes into prior to a football game and announcing the lineup. And, Rich, here in Calgary, there's a famous burger place called Peter's Drive-In. Now, Peter's Drive-In, the burgers and fries there, if anyone ever comes to Calgary, do not get burgers and fries from Peter's because it's fucking terrible. However, the milkshakes are very, very good. The milkshakes are delicious. They have about 30, 40, 45, something ridiculous toppings. Okay. And they boast an astonishing 4,500 combinations to which you can have for a milkshake. And this made me kind of come and think in regarding Wednesday's lineup that it made me do some calculations, Rich. And did you know that from, I believe, 8 centre-backs, if I'm counting, Palmer, Johnson, Hutchinson, Iolfa, Dunkley, Dean, Story, and Brennan, that we would have 56 combinations. And if I'm being generous to include Brennan and remove that, then I think I calculate that would have 35 from the 7 there. This made me kind of wonder and think about some type of situation, Rich, where Darren Moore was a kind of demented Willy Wonka type, and I would be a depressed, upset executive at the Darren Moore candy factory, sick of his world of pure imagination, seeing the company getting pulled into mire by him fiddling with his sweet flavors. Darren, I would say, you know how we are the music makers and the dreamers of the dream, Darren? Well, the last thing you did that worked, stick with that.
Yeah.
So shines a good deed in a weary world and all that.
I wonder how close we've been to having that many different iterations of the back three. I think
I mean, since there's 56 combinations from those 8, the good news is that there's only so many games of football in a season, so Darren Moore cannot do all of those. But it just feels like, why are we just continually doing this? Why are we trying something new again? I don't know, because we could have another game next week, and he could play Dunkley where Iorfa was.
Yeah.
Because we had that last time.
Well, we've also had like multiple arrangements in games as well, because I think we figured out not in training, in a live match against an opposition that wanted to beat us, that Jordan Story couldn't play left-sided centre-back. But we tried it first, and then we're like, oh no, he can't do this, can he? And then shuffled them all around while they were on the pitch. So even in games, sometimes we've had like 4 or 5 different arrangements of the same 3 players. I would wager we've probably been fairly close to almost every variation of a back 3 that you can have.
I think also what we'll see will defy explanation, as Gene Wilder sang as well.
Oh,
Darren, if you want to view paradise, simply look at the last formation that worked and view it. Not a new fucking version.
Paradise. Just go ahead and view it. Anything you want to do it. Classic.
Was that you doing the Johnny Depp as a kind of creepy paedophile type thing?
I'm always just interpreting life through that lens.
Awesome. But we actually later on in this game, we did even see like a permutation of that.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
So the setup this time was Sam Hutchinson at the left side of the centre back trio, Harley Dean firmly in the middle. I think that makes a lot of sense. And then Iorfa on the right hand side there with Hunt and Johnson taking up the wing back positions. That midfield 3 is the only thing that doesn't change. The world revolves around them 3. So Byers, Bannon, and Luongo continuing to do their thing in the middle of the pitch, and Gregory and Mendes-Lang, as you say, continued that partnership up top. It's a bit divisive, Mendes-Lang being up there, but you do sort of, particularly with Jack Hunt on this sort of form, you want to try and squeeze Mendes-Lang in somewhere, don't you?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's an interesting one, because I coming into this, I'm happy to see him play in some position.
Yeah,
today was interesting.
Yeah, it doesn't really work, but you'd want it. I think it's like you know how they talk about people on the left letting perfect be the enemy of good. And I think like the principle of Mendes-Lang starting the game for Sheffield Wednesday is a good thing. Is him playing up front perfect? Is it the best solution? Probably not. But is it better than him not playing? Probably. It's tricky. It is tricky.
It is.
Hunt has just been so good of late. And we'll talk about today. I mean, he's despite his dotage as a player, he is adding new kinks to his game, which is a delight to see. I'm saying dotage about a man who's 31 years old, but you know what I mean. For a flyer up and down that wing.
Well, I mean, it was interesting because you made a reference to after his inaugural his goal for Sheffield Wednesday last week.
Yeah.
That this was something that they were working on the wing-backs coming in to attack in those positions, the cross from the other wing-back.
Yeah.
So we're seeing a combination of Hunt and Marvellous Marvin Johnson on the other side.
Marvellous Marvin.
So it was funny. I just mopped up the rest of that episode just before we started chatting, and that was the point of where I was from last week's episode. So, and we've plenty to get on with in terms of notes, but yeah, there we go. Happened again.
Yeah, I mean, so being at the game, I've made a few notes sort of scattered. That my first one would be the opening goal, but I don't know whether you've got anything else prior to that.
Well, I mean, I said about the 5th minute mark, about halfway through to then, we had a pretty ho-hum start until then. Mendes Lang was kind of played in, and then we had some kind of check back, which got us a corner. And then, long free kick from Barry Bannon to the back stick, where Dean seemed to be startled to have the ball at his behest, and really just didn't realise how much time he had. He seemed like kind of shocked and startled, and headed wide. Not a hugely, not a really dangerous position to be in, but certainly is one which, if you have there and you have some time, there are other options and things that you can do with that, rather than just tamely head it wide.
Did you, I'm now blanking on did you pick up the Cheltenham Town, I don't know whether we spoke about this in the podcast, but did you pick up the Cheltenham Town manager saying that we're the best at corners in the league?
No, I did not. I did not say that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, he made some sort of comment to the effect of like, being really annoyed that they conceded from a corner because it's like, we know how good they are. They're the best in the league at corners. And I just don't know. I'd love to know whether he's misread his report, I just don't know what that was based on. But I wonder if getting ahead to, getting that first touch is something that we're good at. We're not good at scoring from them.
No, not at all.
But
and we've talked about every manager who will come will, if given the opportunity and if led down that path, will bat their eyelashes at Barry Bannon. But Barry Bannon is not very good at corners.
No.
Barry Bannon has lots and lots and lots of talents. Corners don't seem to be one of them.
Exactly. Yeah, sorry, I've just looked it up. I should have pulled this up earlier, but they had a bit more of the ball, but I didn't think there was a lot in it. We can't give a goal away as quickly as we did, particularly from a corner, and they are the best in the league from corners. The stats would show you that. I just don't know what stats he's seeing. We must be one of the worst for conceding from corners. We're the best at allowing goals to happen from the corner, if that's the sort of... To go back to Willy Wonka, the kind of mixed up bedlam that you want to live in. That's the only kind of way I can make sense of it. But
I've got another puzzle for you.
If you always concede from set pieces, why do you give away such silly free kicks? Oh dear. Oh, Willy Wonka. The spirit of Willy Wonka and his wacky creations has suffused the podcast, Luke.
And I didn't even get to make a reference to Darren Moore and a similar kind of Craig David as Willy Wonka, from the What's Your Flavour video.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. There's nothing else.
That's it.
That's it. We're done. Let's move on. Let's talk about another terrific goal from Jacund.
Well, I tell you what, if this is the river of chocolate goals that we've got to enjoy, Luke, at Hillsborough at this point in time, call me Augustus Gloop, because I'm diving right in.
Rich is like, I've heard the Cadbury factory is just is melting down to the river, so I'm just gonna get on my scuba gear, jumping.
Oh, it was gorgeous.
Oh, so good. I mean, we had a lot of good play in the build up to this. There was a lot of us just pinging it around the box willy nilly, just having some good play. Came to Bannon, and he took a few touches out on the left, swung over this delicious pendulous cross into the box, bounces for a long and diving header from Mr. Jack Hunt. Wonderful.
Brave as well. Brave,
yeah.
asking to get a kick in the teeth, but it's a great header. It's so satisfying the way the angle it goes in as well. It's like one of those. It's like rising as it goes in. It's lovely to watch. Yeah, it's interesting because we've talked. We had the week where we talked about the Lord after the Lord Mayor's show, the week after the Lord Mayor's show, not just the game after the Lord Mayor's show. But this was a bit like the attitude that kind of got Jack Hunt his first goal. That kind of like showboating, swaggery. Tail end of the match from last week, we carried into this game. We were playing like we were like 3-4-0 up from kickoff, really, but like 3-4-0 up and wanting to score more. So we were like, because the goal came, Mendes Lang and Bannon are out on that left wing, and Marvelous Marvin's in the middle of the pitch there. So already there's quite a lot of movement and people knitting and trying to sort of overload them in areas. There was just a lot going on really to try and sort of make things that happen, like the goal. But it's a great cross. Gregory, it almost looks better as well for the fact Gregory reaches out for it and isn't able to get on the end of it. The fact that then Hunt just arrives and smashes it home. Brilliant stuff.
I loved, I really wish there were different angles to watch, because Jack Hunt's header kind of seemed a bit Sensible Soccer-esque.
Yes.
You know, one of my...
a top-down view.
Do you ever remember seeing, I think there was, it was some random year in like 08, 09 or something. Wednesday were at home to Norwich. It wasn't the one with the Dion Dublin, but we beat them 3-2. They had that run against Norwich where we were just absolutely nigh invincible against them. We beat them like 10 times in a row or something crazy.
Yeah.
And Marcus Tudgay scored a header against Norwich at the back post at the Cop end, and the cross kind of came in, and he did that. It was a bit like, I think Trevor Francis scored a very similar goal in like the pomp of his career. In Europe, and it's like him flying at the back stick, but facing inwards. So he's like, if you imagine the man is kind of leaping horizontally, but going towards the cop, and then he kind of heads it while he's doing that, and is one of the best headed goals I think I've ever seen. Yeah, it's amazing. But then we've had two. Not as good, but still two very, very impressive diving headers from Jack Hunt, which isn't an element of his game that we would ever think that we would see, and he's done it twice, 2 games in a row.
It's it was a volley last week, wasn't it?
It was a volley last week, yes. No, he tried a diving header last week.
Yeah,
that was what I'm thinking. Okay,
yeah, but no, it's full commitment. He's got a lot to do with that header.
Yeah,
he's not level with that far post. He's out level with the edge of the 6-yard box. So he's got a lot to do with it, and he gets it right in the top corner from there. It's incredible. It's a really very, very, very fine finish, and the sort of finish that you get from a guy that's playing the best football of his life. Really, he's an absolute joy to watch. His crossing's good. We just let him have that right flank and just go on then, Jack, get on with it. And he's owning it. It's great to see.
Very much
so. We kept at it, didn't we? We had a couple more chances. I'm thinking, in particular, I'm thinking of the Mendes Lang one, but you'll correct me if that's not the sort of next thing in the chronological order.
Well, I might. You're probably right, Rich. If I'm being pedantic. Bannon, 14th minute, got giddy, wanged a curler over from 35 yards. That was just prior to that, though. That was the 14th minute. 15th minute, that's when we get into that as well. Bannon was just fantastic. I mean, I guess in this case that maybe I don't know. Wimbledon low block. I feel this is unfortunately something we have to talk about every week now.
Yes.
Now that we've learned it's called a low block.
Yeah,
we have to call it out. We can't just talk about teams parking the bus anymore. It's a low block.
No.
But then there's situations where it's like, are they doing a low block, or is it just we seem pretty good against them, like attacking them. And I know that there's a great deal from how do you unpick such a lock? you call the locksmith Barry Bannon to come into the village. You know, he's got a reputation with this, and he's good at this stuff. So he was doing a lot of great through balls, and yeah, he was doing a lot with that. I thought it was interesting you mentioned about the great dynamic. It's fantastic when we see a Wednesday team that knows how to, look, I'm going to go here, so you then cover for me, and we'll just keep switching, and we can just see it just cause havoc.
Yeah.
And it was something that I think I've never seen much from Wednesday doing prior to Carvajal come in during the time I'm watching Wednesday. But we do still have occasions where it happens, and a lot happened with that today, and especially with Bannon on that left. Bannon was helping out a lot on the left touchline, doing really well. But anyway, I think this was more through the centre. Did an incredible through ball. Did you get to see AFC Wimbledon's number 3 fall over on his arse? That was very funny. That was good. And, you know, came to Mendes Lang from a tightish angle, put it just wide. It was agonisingly close.
It is agonising because he's given it. Well, obviously, he's shown the strength. The defender's fallen away. He couldn't stand shoulder to shoulder with him. He's then kind of done the keeper. The keeper's committed. It's just a case of steering it into what's left, you know, the open bit of the net. But unfortunately, he just puts it wide. And I'm sure we'll get there in time, but I'm just now interested. There was a moment where Bannon was absolutely full pelt running alongside a defender who fell over, and I'm wondering if that was number 3 as well in the second half. This is.
Oh, so you think he had developed quite a reputation for falling on his arse this game? That's what you're saying.
Yeah, running too fast for his little legs and then falling over like a toddler.
Like a toddler, brilliant.
Yeah.
Playing your squad number as an age.
That would be a fun, like, I know they play a lot of football around Christmas, so you couldn't do it around Christmas, but like before they break up for the summer, a training session where you have to play the age of your squad number. Some of them would be really held back, though.
You imagine all the youth scheme players who were just playing as old men. You know, because
Mendes Lang would be 41. That would really slow him down, I think. Jack Hunt is basically his own age.
I think Mendes Lang would be quite distinguished as an older gentleman.
Yeah.
You know, maybe a blazer.
Cue someone photoshopping Callum Patterson's hair onto Mendes Lang. So that was 15 minutes. Where are we? Where are we next?
Well, I was going to say the 17th minute from my notes. I'm just looking at the highlights here as well. I'll be guilty of that one, Rich. 17 minutes, I made a comment, a rest spell where Wimbledon looked decent.
Yeah.
And then I started making the note of this, saying there's a weird pace to this, but we look very much in control. And I made that note and was cut short by making that note by us conceding.
Yeah.
So, Rich, I think you're a man who has a lot better kind of lens about our defensive misgivings. So, do you want to lead the proceedings on this one, on this inquest?
Well, I mean, you doth flatter me, sir. You silver-tongued devil, you. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I think a lot of the blame has got to fall on the shoulders of one Samuel Hutchinson right here. He loses track of. So I should just say, I was impressed by their front two today.
Yeah.
I thought they, as we say, they were playing in a low block. They were very, very committed to getting men behind the ball. But I thought Zach Robinson in particular, feeding off scraps, really made us work hard with not very much support at times. But anyway,
I thought you were going to look at a Sale.
Well, him too. Yeah, so he's the goal scorer, isn't he? Number 10. I thought he was decent as well. He's only 20 years old, by the way. He's that player, and he's 20. He looked impressive.
He's young and he's nippy. He's got pace. And I mean, it's I guess the interesting thing. Yes, it is poor defending. I'm looking at this back and watching it. It was an interesting thing because it's like, especially for me, like coming back and watching this goal, because I remember at the time I thought it was a longer ball, and I thought we had less men back, and I thought it was more of a situation I was being caught on the break. Because,
Yeah,
I mean,
no, not
that seemed to be their mentality, was that, put men behind the ball, have a quick nippy forwards who can break and counter at pace and cause damage, which they did. But I didn't realize that there were so many players around him. It's a good through ball, but there's so many Wednesday players who are flat-footed
it's
in this
just in
game.
particular.
And also, this is from a goal kick. So this is bowled out to one player who brings over the halfway line at quite a small,
Quite a
quite a light canter. We'll put it that.
yes, yes.
He's not really breaking much of a sweat. Does a great through ball. And then they execute very, very well on the pullback. But as you said,
I think well, Hutchinson in particular, it's you just never want to see someone stop and put their hand up.
yeah,
And he's done that because he's completely lost. He's lost Robinson. He doesn't know where Robinson is. And I think early on, I think we managed to sort it out eventually, or they stopped doing it. But the two of them were moving around because 3 men marking 2 men, there's a thing there. If you had just 2 men against 2 men, you just kind of go, okay, you mark Robinson, I'll mark the other one. I've forgotten his name again.
Asal, yeah.
Or Assail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you mark. I'll take 40 and you take 10. We'll just, no matter what they do, that's what we'll do.
Mm.
With 3 of you, and generally the role then is like, okay, well, if he moves into your zone, I'll give you a shout. If he moves out of my, move into from your zone, give me a shout, etc. So it's a more of a hand-holding situation. And I think they did quite a nice job occasionally of like picking the holes between that 3. And obviously he's moved in behind Hutchinson. Hutchinson doesn't know where he is. It's a good pass from the defender. And he stops and puts his hand up, and he's now not quick enough to catch up to have any sort of influence on the play. So Harley Dean scrambles, goes to the man. Iorfa tries to come across but doesn't get there in time to mark Asal. But if Hutchinson's doing his job, Harley Dean's able to mark Asal, and therefore it should be a fairly easy clearance.
Should be.
Just a pat on the back for AFC Wimbledon. Both their own players. Asal is 20. Robinson's 19.
Wow.
He did not play like a 19-year-old today. He had some wiles about his game. I'm very impressed with those two. I know that they're a team that has not won in quite a considerable amount of time, so you have to take it with that pinch of salt. But
well, I mean, some of the things midweek, right? Because AFC Wimbledon lost their manager. So that was something that happened. So they've got that coming into, but they didn't. Yeah, they didn't look like a team who were that far down. I mean, there's definitely the element of after they get the equaliser. There's numerous moments in this game which we will get to where, or maybe just kind of in between the points of what we're making, just to state that, they're trying to kill some time. They're trying to time waste.
Yeah.
But I mean, for a League One kind of lower team coming to Hillsborough, doing a low block, parking the bus, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I think they did well, and then they could have almost won the game.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So
I feel like I have to give some kind of kudos to the Wombles, to those new Wombles.
Those new Wombles. Yeah. So just to they've not won a game this year, but they didn't look like a team that hadn't won a game this year.
No, they didn't look. They didn't look like they had a real crisis of confidence. I thought there was more of a question of the character of Sheffield Wednesday. Yeah,
because that goal really took the wind out of our sails, didn't it?
And that was the thing. I mean, especially conceding that early. We went ahead that early. We conceded that early. Like, I kind of looked at it as a bit of a silver lining to say, maybe a reminder we need to score more isn't the worst thing to have. And certainly for large portions of this game, we looked capable of getting more than the one goal.
Yeah, I think to say they parked the bus, that we weren't without chances, were we?
No, but we did well against them. They're certainly not world beaters, right? In terms of their defensive structure, and that was That was a good thing. I feel like, does it feel like maybe we've matured a little bit from the team who struggle to perform against teams that come and do this?
Possibly. I think.
Well, I think we moved it around quickly. There was enough movement as well, and then the fact that there's Barry Bannon, and if Barry Bannon can play to the ilk of Barry Bannon standards, then I mean sometimes that it's just a question of keep going at it. Really, just keep playing a percentage game with this idea.
I think we had two things we were trying to do in answer to. Well, I mean, just narrowing it down to two is probably not that fair. I'm sure there's plenty of other little like kinks to the what we were doing, but we were trying to, in transition, we were trying to hit the ball in behind them, so we were trying to stop them settling. I don't think our quality was good enough there. Really, we didn't do that often, and unfortunately, when it happened, it seemed to fall to Gregory and not Mendes-Lang, and Gregory does not have any kind of pull away pace to rely on.
Yeah.
So, but generally, by the time he'd taken the ball down, he was then swamped by an absolute sort of horde of opposition players. I also think Luongo, I thought, had a bit of an odd game today, and I thought his distribution from deep, he was the one that was sat deepest of the midfield, kind of picking it up off the defenders, and I thought he had a pretty poor game doing that. I think his distribution long was bad. He kicked the ball straight out of play a couple of times. He hit it short other times. There was definitely like two occasions where he tried to hit Jack Hunt and ended up kind of just playing it to their left-sided wing back, who's not a tall player, but if he was able to win the headers, it sort of shows you how much he was struggling in that regard. But also I just thought he was at fault for us being a bit slow to go through the stages. There was like he would go to Iorfa to go to Hunt rather than just going straight to Hunt. So we were a little bit slow in the build-up. But I don't think that was happening so much. That we second-guessed ourselves more after the equaliser. And I think that's where that sort of came to mind. But I do think we had a couple of things we were trying. As you say, we made sure Bannon stayed up top. Bannon was very disciplined in, as the game wore on, he did not get dragged further. This is what he tends to do. Back in the field, try and get more involved, get the ball and start things off.
Yep.
And he stayed up top. He stayed where he could make the most difference. And I think that was really good to see. And then, as I say, we were trying to hit them over the top with Mendes-Lang's pace. It never quite came together, unfortunately. But it was, I think it's fair to say we look like we've got a few more ideas in that situation rather than just sort of struggling through, which is better. It's a much better look on us because this was considered defending. It was a lot of defensive players back defending, and certainly their first job. You know, they had forays into our half, but the moment they lost the ball, everybody was behind the ball and trying to get in position. So this was very determined defending. Lots of time wasting. How worried were you when they had their flurry of set pieces? I don't want to skip too far ahead if you've got notes between here and there.
Well, I'll just, that's actually, I've got a little bit between. I said this part of the frustrating started to seep in for me as a fan. I'm wondering if for Wednesday too. Mendes-Lang was kind of in on a long ball on the left, and then he checked back for Johnson, who just couldn't get past his man and fouled him. And I said there just looked like a slight dip in heads starting to kind of crown coming out. That's the point I get to then. Wimbledon have a spell of a series of corners. I said I've been impressed with their composure and resiliency for a team in their position. They're executing well. I don't think I was so worried, but from a very Wednesday perspective, it's just like, what's this kind of interlude? When are we getting back to Wednesday attacking?
But they had one cleared off the line.
Yeah, that didn't really...
You weren't worried there?
No, I'll be honest.
It just felt like they were getting free headers on a lot of things. They're not the biggest team, but I thought they obviously work on set pieces, and I thought they had good movement. And I thought we, just like with the two centre forwards, I thought it took us a little while to find our feet in terms of, are we doing zonal? Are we marking men? Are we just watching the ball sail over our heads? Iorfa got caught out on an early corner, I think. And then, the next set piece they had a good header down that Johnson stopped on the line. I was a bit worried, particularly at the timing, as you say, where we had our heads did go down a little bit, and then they had this concerted spell. It might have only been about 5 minutes.
Well, yeah, I get that. Do I want to talk about that? 35th minute, they had an exceptionally weak free kick. Again, we had some very bad officiating today. This was. There's some huge moments we'll get onto later, which I really want to get your opinion on as you read the game.
Was that the one where Hutch went in for a wild challenge and missed everybody, and then Luongo was kind of nipping at the guy, and then he went down, and everyone seemed quite incensed.
It was out on the right, I believe, attacking, so kind of near the south stand, I would say. Yeah. And it looked like their player just fell over. I'm going to be honest. It was so soft. He dived.
Hutch put his heels.
I thought he dived. Or at least he made an absolute meal of the whole thing.
Fair enough. I thought Hutch had gone in for that mad challenge, and then on his way back, just kind of clacked him. But maybe it didn't happen. I don't know.
37th minute, mild rejuvenation. Like we're getting going from a nap. Like we get up from a snooze and then force ourselves to do some star jumps. We had a corner with some good play from Baz and Marvin. The corner ends up coming to nothing. It goes straight to Chivarov Tanev, I believe is the Wimbledon keeper. Which I was like, oh, I should write his name down. And then I saw his name and I was like, oh, I don't want to. It looks so long. This is I'm so tired. I'm so tired. They were just so perfectly dialed in on the counter. He did this wonderful bowl out, and we were very fortunate to be back to defend that break. That was worrying, I must say.
Yeah. His distribution was strange because several times he kicked the ball straight out, particularly from goal kicks. But I think some of his throws were pretty decent in terms of setting them away on counters.
Definitely. My only other note from the half, Rich. 40th minute, we win a free kick, which Bannon plays long. Heartbreakingly, Iorfa is just off the pace to get there. Could he have lunged for it?
Could he?
I mean, he's got some big old telescopic legs.
He does. Yeah, it's always a slight disappointment when he doesn't reach out in those moments. I don't know. I thought he had a bit of a. He's clearly taking a bit of a time to get back into the feel of things. I think Iorfa. I don't know that today was his best showing all round.
Yeah. Do you think he had a little time like the beautiful South?
Yeah. He did. Yeah, he did. I can't remember any lines from that song now.
It's a good song though.
It is.
It's depressing. It's one of those. Oh, we're a jaunty little song. Oh, we got a little ditty, and it's like depressing lyrics are underneath.
Didn't she talk about his fat head or something?
No.
Didn't she say like you need a little room for your big head?
A big head, not fat head.
Your big head, don't you?
Did you? Yeah, had some time, and then she's like, "No, not doing this." He's a porcine fellow, isn't he?
I know, but I do still. Still love his work.
Did you hear the reason about why he's a porcine fellow?
No.
It's because he went to Hillsborough and he said it was too busy, so he went to United and was like, "Oh, this is all right."
Is that true?
Yeah.
That's very funny.
Take that, United. Keith Tracy says we're a little bit bigger than you. You knobheads.
Would you say Paul Heaton's your favourite piggy?
Probably.
I think he's probably mine.
Are we going to include Michael Palin in this as well?
Well, who knows with him?
And also those times we enjoy CNBN as well.
CNBN, the French. The French actor.
The French actor, yes.
Bien, bien.
Bien.
Beautiful
Oh.
sound split up due to artistic similarities. Oh, no, musical similarities. That's what they split up. Yeah, claiming the split was due to musical similarities.
That's very funny. Very good. Oh, half time. We're in at half time. What were your thoughts then? I thought that it's disappointing. Taylor's all the time. I said, I think if we show some character, then the game is here for the taking. But the question is, can we do that? Get the 3 points? And also, are we going to do that thing where we get our ideas together, but then the opposition's changed for the second half?
Yeah, that's what I was slightly worried in happening, is that they might show a little bit more ambition and we'd get caught with our trousers down a bit. That was my slight worry on things, was because we've had that halftime conversation where we're like, so many times we're a bit better, but we're not really making it show in any actual way that makes a difference.
I was kind of hoping that, like, whatever they were doing, they'd run out a bit of steam with, and then things would just open up a lot more. You know, because that's sometimes typically what happens. Like, there's so many times it's like, especially a Wednesday desperate for goals, is attacking-wise, it opens up. So there is some excitement by the space. Suddenly, we're not in a situation where Wimbledon are not putting, 7-8 players behind the ball, including the keeper.
Yeah, and I think in this league as well, we've had so many games where our quality is told in the end. Just having the better caliber of players on the pitch for long enough, just in the end has kind of like, it's broken down those walls and given us the result. But so yeah, what's your first note in that second half?
Probably 48th minute, I think it was. Gregory did really great work. Remember, the ball was... Gregory had some moments today where... in fact, I'll just jump ahead. 64th minute, Gregory... We'll get to this later. I say he's an absolute battering ram with a fresh engine. He had a moment on the 64th minute where he seemingly held off 4 of their players for a good few seconds. He was just causing them so many problems with his strength.
It's joyous when he just sort of emerges from a huddle of opposition players. It's really, really lovely a lovely sight.
But in the 40th minute, did great work to keep the ball and win a free kick 30 yards out. That's when Johnson tried his luck and hit pretty well over.
Yes,
yeah.
He had a great game today. He just didn't have a huge amount of things fall his way. Like, he led the line really, really well. He never seemed to stop running. He was always offering options in behind. I think if Mendes Lang had shown as much energy as he did, we probably would have had a much easier afternoon of things. There was Luongo had that effort that was a fairly decent effort. That was sort of 54th minute, 53rd minute.
Mm-hmm.
That was as close as he came to scoring today. He didn't really look too excited to try and add to his tally.
What did you think happened there? So they talked about on the commentary with Rob and John that they seemed to say there's some confusion that the Wednesday players kind of wanted the corner. There was a lot of protestation.
I just thought it was a classic shoss, and I didn't see it take a deflection, really. It was minuscule if it happened. I think he just hit a shot with the pace of a cross, basically. So players thought they maybe should have been able to get there, but it was the wrong angle for either of them to get to. But yeah, that's... I didn't see too much in that in terms of the claim there.
Oh dear. Yeah, 55th minute, we can see the corner. All comes from my author being very complacent. He lost the ball at the halfway line.
Dawdling.
Very, very poor. Luckily, nothing happened from that one. Speaking of corners, we got a series of corners at the 59th minute following some fine defending from Wimbledon.
Yeah.
The final one ended up with that bullet header from Gregory from a very sweet Mendes Lang ball, and then ended up with a resulting melee and Luongo trying to stab the loose ball and managed to hit the keeper. Their keeper really milked the injury, but he's
he did.
Yeah.
It's why don't they do anything about time wasting?
I don't know. I really don't know.
They don't seem to care at all.
No, they don't. And, it's something which they were super, super aware of on the commentary today from Rob and John.
Oh, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was like there was one moment where they had a player who had it up by the north stand in his hands, ready to take a throw in, and he just dropped it. Nobody was anywhere near him. Nothing happened, and he just dropped the ball. And the ref's not like, "Oh, hold on, this might be getting a bit silly now. Why would a grown man just throw a ball on the ground?"
Just clumsily drop the ball to the ground.
Yeah, and like their keeper took a kickoff when they were making a substitution. Like, these are not mistakes.
Mm.
The only nice thing is today we got to relish in the other side of it, but that does not happen often enough for it to be acceptable to carry on in this.
And in terms of stoppage time,
4
what's
minutes.
the criticism? 4 minutes, and we had 6 substitutions?
6 substitutions, which should be 3 on its own.
And then a bit of injury tending to with the goalkeeper and lots of other breakage and passes.
Somebody else went down with a head injury, didn't they?
Yep.
Yeah. It's very frustrating. The officials, this was just across the board bad officiating. Like the lines,
it's bad.
The lines people were.
Yeah, that was the worst. Yeah, especially with
shockingly bad.
Especially a moment we'll come to a bit later
we'll get
in
there.
The coverage. We'll get there. 63rd minute, Johnson puts a great cross in, which their shonky keeper saves until he bounces off Byers' head. Terrible. Like that's the thing. Like his distribution from throwing was good, but I think the guy lived a bit of a charmed life.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you think about? I think we come to. I mentioned the moment that brings me up to the moment with Gregory just being an absolute battering ram.
Yeah,
full of some fresh Duracell batteries in him. And then we make a sub. We make our first sub, and it's Berahino coming on for Iorfa.
Yeah. I do think. Sorry. I do think I think when I want Berahino to come on, it's my idealized best version of Berahino. It's the guy that came on against Donny. It's, that's the guy that got the hat-trick. So I was feeling like we could do with Berahino being on the pitch. The frustration of Mendes Lang playing up front is he doesn't play up front. And he's also a bit like, when people are riding a bike, if you go slowly, it's all kind of jerky and awkward. And then it's when it's going full tilt, everything's very elegant and what makes sense. And Mendes Lang is a bit like that when he's controlling the football. Like if he is full pell, good luck to you trying to get in the way of it. But whilst he's in that position, that phase of trying to turn around or get going, it's pretty awkward to watch. It's pretty... it can be pretty low quality at times. Yeah. And I don't know. I just thought, like we were saying, I think I wholeheartedly agree. I probably want him. I do want him there, but I don't. It's not his best position, and he flat out refuses just to play up front. So I thought Berahino being there and giving us a kind of centre to our attacking play would have been helpful. I did not see it coming the way it did in Iorfa coming on. A reshuffle at the back, because it meant that Marvellous Marvin moved to left-sided centre-back. Mendes Lang went to left-sided wing-back. Mm-hmm. So it was quite a lot of upheaval for that one change. This was a kind of Carlos meat on the fire moment, wasn't it? I just want to try and keep as many threats as possible on this pitch. Which is understandable from Moore. Whether it really worked, I don't know. I thought Mendes Lang still looked really bad out on that left wing back position.
Yeah, well, that was the funny thing. I mean, there's more stuff to come to, but Berahino almost bagged as well from coming on. He almost
very close.
Almost had one touch raise the roof type stuff, wasn't it? Gregory got the ball on the left, swivels a shot along the floor. Berahino's almost quick enough to react and bag. Gutting.
He was very close to it, to be fair to him, especially
Mm.
early on. It's a good effort from Gregory as well, considering he hadn't had much of it in the way of sights of goal. A decent bit of play from him.
70th minute, some more fantastic work from Lee Gregory. He does some great work to bring the ball down a fortuitous counter. Fortunately, his second touch was just a bit off, and then it overran. Bannon kind of runs on, and Bannon's just sprinting full out for this, and he can't put the brakes on, runs it out of play. I think
that's the one where the player hit the deck, and I think it might have been number 3 again hitting the deck because he just couldn't keep up with Bannon pace wise.
Old Bambi Womble, great uncle Bambaria.
Yeah.
Oh, and then Bannon's just frustrated. He boots the advertising horde.
Yeah, absolutely. Gave it what for, didn't he?
Gave it some
laldy.
75th minute, Mendes Lang, has the ball on the outside. He cracks one goalward, and the Shonky keeper spills it away. We couldn't quite recycle the chance.
That was some really lovely work from Luongo to keep the possession there in setting up that chance.
76th minute, Hunt nearly gets a second header.
Yeah. He's a jack of all trades. Pardon the pun. Now he's given it both barrels. Oh, sorry, I'm just reminding myself of that. Yeah, following that Mendes Lang shot, that was the one that agonizingly. But like we had 3 or 4 players in really good positions, and Bannon somehow poked it to the one bit of the box where we didn't have anybody. He through balled everyone, including ourselves. Yeah. Hunt going close again. Is that the one? That's the one that kind of just smashed him in the face, didn't it? Really, he didn't know. He didn't. He didn't have much chance to kind of steer it. It was a great cross, but I think it was probably a cross for Gregory. And Hunt was there, and it just kind of cannoned off his face.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of bad headers, that brings us to the next thing to talk about, the 80th minute. NML, NVM, I said. So Nathaniel Mendes Lang, never mind. Very tame header from a great cross at the back stick.
Yeah.
That was bad.
It was a great cross. It was a great cross, great chance.
And just again, that situation, just we've got the wrong player on it. We've got, you really want, would have much preferred Gregory or just anyone else. Oh. And then a minute later, Mendes Lang puts us in trouble on the break. And luckily...
What was he thinking?
I don't know. Just pure idiocy.
It's pretty blind. He just kind of whips it across the middle of the pitch. And it's gobbled up. And
then suddenly, it was a great break, and they did they didn't waste that in terms of the build-up.
No.
I've seen Wednesday absolutely shit the bed.
Oh, yeah.
With, we're 3-on-1, and then it's like, oh, no, we don't know what to do. Or we've dawdled on it, and we've lost the ball.
Yeah.
And they were just crisp as anything, played the player in, and thank God we have a keeper of the quality of Bailey Peacock-Farrell to be there to save us.
This is 2 weeks running he's done this now as well.
Yeah,
he stood up big and made himself hard to beat. I do struggle to see how Asal wasn't offside, but
I think they timed it well, or maybe the answer is bad linesman officiating.
Yeah.
And then that moment, so then we go to the 85th minute. Now, I know we're kind of wise in this situation to think we've had 2 exceptionally poor moments from Mendes Lang.
Yeah.
But maybe if we're talking about substitutions to kind of change and keep things going, I get the timing, I get that last push in an attacking sense, but maybe we could have just done a like for like with Mendes Lang a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I agree.
We've got Shadipo coming back on, who hasn't played. They talked a lot about him in the commentary, which was just I get he's a player who hasn't played. He's been of high promise. He's disappointed massively. Yeah. He's been hugely injured. I get that he's one of the only players we have on the bench with an element of pace to their game. But still, I was like, "What? Who you're talking about here, right?"
I know. we did get that one last little bit of juice out of Mendes-Lang in his cross for Byers, but he had a lot to do with it, Byers. But so it was a pretty decent ball he put in with his left foot. But that was his last real moment on the pitch. Yeah, so it was because Byers then went off as well for Patterson, and I'd been thinking that Luongo was looking pretty leggy in the same way, and I think Byers has just been enough of a goal threat that I probably would have. Ideally, I would have kept him on and swapped out Luongo probably. I think just in case, in the situation we were in of just chasing, but do we have to hold our hands up and say? Whether it was through luck or planning, those changes did seem to have positive effects.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, do you're you're a man who supports Scotland, but you live in England and you have enough kind of memory of things on an England national scale.
Yeah.
Was it the game against Wales that Roy Hodgson was the manager of England? And then we managed to beat Wales. England managed to beat Wales, but then Roy Hodgson brought on all the strikers for the dying parts. Do you remember when that was?
That makes yeah, that does ring a bell. Yeah.
Of which it's like I've seen. It's like we've talked about. Hilariously, we've talked about Jurgen Klopp, one of the most revered coaches in world football. What are you doing now, Jurgen? Well, we're losing the game, so I'm going to bring on a tall guy, tall centre back to go in front. I'm like, fucking hell! Is this what you're doing? Is this it? Is this what we get? Is this it's like FA coaches? Well, if there's a few minutes left, and you might want to bring on all your strikers because just fucking hell. Like it worked today, and I thought the subs were good. I thought the subs were okay today. We're fine for a Darren Moore perspective. So I feel like begrudgingly give Darren Moore. It worked. So I have to say something, but like...
Yeah, I think having scratched my head at some of his changes previously, I can at least see the logic behind each one of the substitutions that happened today. I think maybe we can dispute who went off, but I think bringing Berahino on made sense because it was a game where we were kind of getting lots of nearly moments, and therefore you want a guy that's supposed to be Johnny on the spot to take those chances. And I also, as we touched on, I don't think Mendes-Lang was doing a great job in terms of leading the line. So somebody with a bit more tactical discipline to stay up there. There's several ticks in the box there. As we touched on, Mendes-Lang was looking pretty tired, wasn't really having any impact on the game, even though he was in a second position in the match now. So Shodipo coming on made some sense. Would I have rather seen So out there? I don't know. We're really limited for options out on that left-hand side, to be honest.
I think coming back from injury and not seeing him forever, I think I give more leeway to be like, let's bring him on, see what he can do. And it's not too offensive a length of time for someone going back from injury to come onto the pitch. It's just a bit sad because, I like Mendes-Lang. I don't mind seeing him play in this position, but it was a bit too much Mendes-Lang today.
Yeah.
I
thought Shodipo actually, it maybe says more about his season to date. This is one of his better showings, these last 5 minutes here. Like, he didn't lose the ball. He put a decent cross in. There was some sparks there. I just want to finally on the subs. I think Patterson was clever, and I think why this worked. Patterson naturally, particularly if you play him in midfield, wants to change between those positions. He wants to come from deep and then get himself in the box. And I think by having someone that wasn't just a midfielder or just an attacker, he became a harder player to mark. And I think that did feed into the goal. But there's a big incident to talk about before the winning goal.
Oh boy, there is. So is this something that's on the highlight reel at all? It's on the YouTube. It is on the YouTube video.
11 minutes and about 20 seconds is where that starts.
Yeah, I've managed to just fortuitously jump to that point again. And it's, wow, what an awful, awful decision. Bannon pings one from long. And yeah, it's just, so who is it? Is it Luongo?
It's Gregory.
It's Gregory. Gregory is absolutely poleaxed to the ground. There's no hope of him trying to play the ball, whoever the woeful Womble is at the back here.
It's the left wing back who just piles into the back of Gregory.
It's a penalty. It's a penalty all day long.
Absolutely, 100% a penalty. I also know because I'm sat in that corner. Jack Hunt was not offside either.
No, he never was.
No, so it's terrible on both fronts. It's really bad from linesman and ref that they miss a clear as day penalty. And it's really bad then that the linesman, as a kind of hiccup reaction, puts his stupid flag up for no good reason and stops us getting the chance that we should have had afterwards. Terrible officiating and just, showing just how woeful they were in that moment.
But alas, we can keep letting that highlight reel just play just a little bit longer for something else. And here we are. We're a minute and 8 minutes. I might as well talk through this in real time. We're playing. I keep talking and managed to not. That's a beautiful nutmeg to Bannon. Bannon, little bit of a ball. We kind of come in and then. I think that's Shadipo. I think this is kind of the moment that's coming. He managed to kind of cycle it back to Bannon. Bannon puts a lovely cross in, nutted back by Patterson, and it's that man again. It's Lee Gregory with his 10th goal of the season.
Yeah.
Scooping header. Beautiful. Crafty little nook of the goal. Just sneaks it in past some flailing.
The flailing.
Flailing.
Yeah, the flailing number
shit
5.
Womble at the back. He'll be playing in League 2 next season. You go fucking Womble down there. You fucking twat. You and your time-wasting pieces of shit. You thought 1 point was good enough in your relegation battle. Fuck you. Fuck off to the 4th tier.
It's actually a pretty poor cross from Bannon. It's like lofty and deep, but Patterson does incredibly well with that header back across.
Mm.
I mean, it's a thing of beauty. And then Gregory, another diving header, a duo of diving headers. It's sort of scrappy but gorgeous all at the same time.
That flailing dickhead Womble does a beautiful flop onto the ground.
It's really good, isn't it? It's really...
He slips to a... like he's about to shag the ground. And he does, yeah. It's beautiful.
It's a top-notch flail.
And can you see their defender, who's the defender on the far right, who just falls over.
Drops to his knees.
Oh! It's so good. It's so good. It's so funny. I love the celebrations. We all love a last-minute goal. I imagine that kid who is the ball boy absolutely loved it. Going to hug Gregory. So much fun. Gregory gives him a big hug and lifts him in the air for one part of the celebrations. Lovely. Beautiful. All round.
Great stuff.
Top stuff.
And then suddenly, these time-wasting Womble knobheads have discovered a sense of urgency, and they're looking at the referee that they've taken the piss out of for 92 minutes to bail them out. It was delicious. Bailey Peacock-Farrell taking forever on his goal kick, and their player putting it down for him, and then Bailey moving it to another place to take it.
So
Eat
good.
it.
Eat it.
You Womble idiots. I wish you well, generally, and I applaud your Phoenix club, but
while you're cleaning up the rubbish that I've left on the common, see that I've shat in this Walker's crisp packet and eat that up, you piece of shit. Mark Bowen rues AFC late lapse against Sheffield Wednesday. Difficult to take. I'll tell you what's even more difficult to take, Mark, is the picture that we've included of you. It looks like you're about to have a shit at the same time. Looks like you're a little bit constipated, my friend.
Oh, I'm just imagining the Wombles picking up the rubbish and just every single item having poo in it. That was wild. Oh, this is a pack of sandwiches. What's in it now? Turds. Oh, it's a Diet Coke bowl, turds. It's a Mars duo. There's one left. No, turd.
It's a Kinder Bueno. Oh no, it's a Kinder No Bueno.
Is that a Wisp bar? No, it's a Wisp poo.
Is it a Milky Way? Kind of another one we are.
And with a Lion bar, you just genuinely can't tell the difference.
Oh, that's a picnic bar, my friend.
Picnic bar.
Picnic bar.
Oh. Oh, dear.
Like all great episodes of Different Gravy.
It ends
in a barrage of poo gags.
So, Luke, let's get our heads slightly out of the toilet. But only slightly. Who's your star man?
Who's my Mawam man of the match? Mawam. Get their name in your fucking mouth. My Mawam mom. That's a tough one. It's a really tough one. There's a lot of strong performers. I want to say Gregory. I want to say Bannon. I think I'm going to give it to Gregory.
Nice.
Because he's just so focal for what we do up front.
Yeah.
Performs so well at what we need him to do. Oh, and he was just an absolute colossus today.
He was.
You know, it's funny, you were mentioning that whole thing about, like, Wimbledon with their nippy strikers with two in between the three, and they're becoming a bit of a headache. But I feel we've got one against three in this game, and that's Lee Gregory.
Yeah. Yeah, one-man army.
It's like some people trying to take down the Hulk or something, you know, in an action piece in a Marvel film, like four dopey scientists try and chuck themselves on the Hulk, and he just like bats them off.
Greg Smash. Yeah, no, I think that's a good call. It's a close run thing between him and Bannon because obviously he's got the assist and the sort of second assist, but yeah, playing so well all the way through the game and then bagging that winner. Good on him. Good lad. Oh, it'd be nice if he can continue this little run of goals, old Gregory.
Would indeed. Double figures?
Yeah.
Double figures. When was the last time? Well, it's probably Fletcher. Last time we had a striker against double figures,
probably.
Right?
Yeah. And Luke's bet of our new number 9 looking pretty good for top scorer.
Well, he's got to get 15 goals, I guess, right? I think that was my prediction.
Was that your prediction?
I think so. Which I and you know in post match thoughts, you know, they interviewed Moore obviously, and Moore was like, he's got 10 goals and he's been injured.
Yeah,
for a good chunk of games. So think of the goals we'd have if Gregors would be doing some Greg smashes all season long.
There's something weird happening. So I'm looking at the league. There's something very weird happening with the league on Sofa Scores. I'm gonna pull it up somewhere else because.
But we went up to 5th today. I think even with a point, right? I think.
Well, according to Sofa Scores, we are 7th, despite the fact that we've got 72 points and the two teams above us have less than that. But yes, I think you're right.
This is the time to put that Sofa Score down.
Yeah, I don't know what they're. I don't know what's up with them, but they've really
take that Sofa Score to the tip.
They've really made a horlicks of showing me the League One table this evening. Yeah, so we're up into fifth with 6 games to play. Plymouth have a game in hand on us, so potentially there's only 2 points between ourselves and Plymouth in fourth.
Ruddy Sunderland won in the dirt as well.
Death.
Bastards. Fucking
No, imagine doing that. Imagine drawing for ages and then sneaking it at the end.
The real fascinating thing is because we've just had, previous to this, we've had a run with just some real blockbuster cricket scores.
Yeah.
The goal difference is looking pretty tasty.
It is rather nice.
We've got a bit of a go on quite a few of the teams kind of around us.
Yeah. It's done. We've done ourselves a world of favors with those couple of stonking big wins.
It's like nice mild 0.5 points.
Well, I think more than anything, what it's done is it's meant we're in it's set us apart from the teams that we would hope will be the also-rans in terms of the playoff chase, and it's put us more closer to parity with the teams who are in the playoffs with us. So it stopped it being. I think it's rather than being a particular strength, it stopped it being a handicap. I think more in terms of our immediate peers, as it were. But it's. I mean, we've got it in our own hands with 6 games to go. That's what you want, isn't it? That's what this is about. This whole this merry-go-round.
I mean, it'd be a daunting. It's a competitive league. It's scary how competitive the top kind of 8-9 teams are in this division, and it'd be if this is where it lands, then we'd be fortunate if we could just draw a line under it today. But if Oxford United were outside of the playoffs, I'd quite enjoy that. They're still top scorers in this league. They've scored 74 goals.
Wowzers!
That's insane.
So we've got Bolton next, who are probably now looking and thinking about next season. They're probably in that sort of group of teams that are mid-tables about as far as it's going to go this season. So it'd be nice if they've got the flip-flops on, but we can't come into the game with any expectation of that. We've got a very tough match following that with MK Dons away at the Milton Keynes Bowl. But then, the kind of remaining 4, you'd hope, by and large, you'd look at all 4 of those and think you'd be expecting favourable results, wouldn't you? I mean, without being churlish. So, yeah, it's a good place to be. I think probably we should wrap this thing up. Well, I've still got some voice.
Let's do that.
But it's been a pleasure to talk things through with you, Luke. It's been a pleasure to lick those salty, salty Womble tears. It's my favourite flavour, Schadenfreude.
These tears taste off. What have you been eating? Shit. My shit.
Yeah. There's sweet, savoury, spicy, umami, and slightly pooey Schadenfreude. Those are the flavours.
I thought you were going to say poo-mami.
Umami, nice. Rewrite. He's nailed it. He's nailed it. Well, I don't think it's going to get any better than that, is it? Let's wrap this thing up.
Okay.
Look after yourselves, folks. Look after yourself, Luke, and we'll talk again post Bolton.
Chat to you then, Rich. Have a good one, everyone.
Here we are.